I'm going to be doing the mid-year freakout tag. Every single year, I feel like I always see the mid-year freakout tag, and we're in month 6 now. That's a weird way to say it. We're in June now, which is basically halfway through the year, which seems wild because it felt like I just made my happy 2023 New Year, New Books video. And here we are halfway done with this year already. Yeah, we're just gonna do a chill. Just chill. Do this tag. I love doing tags. I feel behind this year already, and it feels so well to me that we're already in June. Oh, hi, my baby. You're making biscuits? Okay. Hold on. Look at it, she's making biscuits. You're working hard. Had to show you that because she was being real cute. This is the mid-year freakout tag. It's a set of like 13 questions about your reading so far through the year. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed because I think I'm behind on a lot of things. When I say a lot of things, I mean like a lot of things. I had a goal to do like 4 videos a month. Definitely didn't do that. I feel like I'm behind on my reading. I can't believe it's June already. And yeah, it's a little scary, but we're fine. Everything's fine. It's okay. Should we just get into the tag, baby? Should we just do it? I think we should. Let's just do the tag. I don't know if I'm going to be able to answer all of these questions. I've only read 30 books this year so far. And I say only, 30 is a good number. But like, especially for when a lot of the books I read this year were like books for school. They were like Shakespeare plays and stuff like that. It'll be fine, right? It'll be just fine. Stats. Let's go into stats. I am 2 books behind schedule on my reading goals. I said that I wanted to read 100 books this year again because I was able to do it last year, and then like within a month I changed it because I was just like, I can't. I was already like 5 books behind schedule and I was feeling so overwhelmed, so I changed it down to 75. I want to say, yeah, my reading goal is now 75 books, and I'm still 2 books behind schedule. I'm also doing my physical TBR challenge, so I have a lot of challenges going this year, and it's not looking great, though. I think my physical TBR challenge, I'm really trying on that one. Like, if I can get my physical TBR down by 1/4 of what it is, that would be great. But like, I'm reading a bunch of physical TBR, but I keep buying physical TBR, so that's my issue here. Let's get into the 13 questions, with the first question being the best book you've read so far this year. I think I've only given one book 5 stars that wasn't a previously read book. Yeah, the only new book that I've read this year that has been 5 stars has been Jeanette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died, which is also one of the only like nonfiction books I read this year, and I never read nonfiction. This was a book club pick. This is an like autobiography about Jeanette McCurdy's life as a child actor and her issues with mental health and her eating disorder. And so it was, I don't know how to say it was like awful, but it was so good. Like the things she goes through is awful. And like reading it, you're like it kind of made me feel sick. I was like, oh my God, I hate this. But at the same time, I couldn't put it down. I was like so invested in her book, and her writing is so good. I will forever read more of her books, and I know she wants to be an author and she's planning to write more books, so I will be reading more of her books. I was so impressed by this book. I was excited to read it. I grew up watching iCarly like a lot of people did, and she is, you know, one of the main actors in iCarly. So I wanted to read it, and I was hearing all these great things about it, but I was never actually going to force myself to pick it up until my book club picked it. And so I was forced to read it, and it became like my all-time favorite book of this year so far. We'll see. I'm really hoping for some better 5-star reads. I say better, but this book was great. Like, I'm just hoping for a fictional 5-star read. The second question is the best sequel you've read this year. I only had a couple to choose from. I'm not picking rereads. Like, if I picked rereads, my number 1 would be 6 of Crows, because I just reread that, but like, I'm not gonna do that. I've read 4 sequels this year so far that weren't previously like rereads. So the best new sequel I've read this year has to be The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. This is the sequel to Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I rated this 4 stars. The first one I only rated 3. I did find the main character a little bit annoying, but I'm really excited to see where the 3rd book goes, and I think it's coming out in October, so we'll see. This was also part of my physical TBR challenge, these 2 books. I've been wanting to read them basically ever since the author announced that she was writing them, because I love Jax as a character, and he is the main character in this main character. That's one of my main issues, is I wish Jax was in it more. This book is the, like, I was gonna call it sister series, but maybe that's not the correct term, to Caraval by Stephanie Garber. It's in the same world as it. It follows some of the same characters, but it's like a completely different story from the Caraval universe. It follows this girl named Evangeline, who is quite a helpless romantic, and her first love, who she thought she was gonna marry, ends up proposing to her sister, and so she goes to Jax. Jax is a saint, and he is the Prince of Hearts, which means he has special powers, and a lot of his stuff revolves around love and hearts and heartbreak and stuff like that. He has this curse, which is if he kisses someone, they will die. Unless they are his true love, then they will live. And Evangeline goes to him and begs him to strike a bargain with her to stop the wedding of her love and her sister, and that's kind of where the story goes from there. I really did enjoy these two books, and I thought they were just going to be a duology, and then it ended, and I was like, oh, there's going to be another book out. So now I have to wait to read a third one, but it's coming out this year, so I should be able to finish this series this year, hopefully. Third question is a new release you haven't read yet, but want to. I've heard, like, raving reviews about it, and that is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is the Fairy Loot edition. It's so pretty. This is enemies to lovers, but through writing letters on two opposite sides of the war. This just came out, and I've heard nothing but good things about it. Definitely Divine Rivals is the book that is recently published that I really want to read soon. Question 4 is my most anticipated release for the second part of the year. This should be no surprise, okay? Carrie Maniscalco is my all-time favorite author. I love her writing, I love her world, I love her characters, I love her plot. I love her. They're like favorite author. Always forever going to be hyping her up and reading her books. I just adore her so much. And if you don't know, Stalking Jack the Ripper is my favorite series, and it's written by her. And this is her new series, which kind of blew up on TikTok, Kingdom of the Wicked. The series just wrapped up last October with Kingdom of the Feared, and she announced that she's actually going to be continuing on with a spin-off series from Kingdom of the Wicked, and the first one is going to be called Throne of the Fallen, and it's based around envy, and so that is definitely going to be my most anticipated release. The world of Kingdom of the Wicked revolves around the 7 deadly sins, so each one of the sins is a prince from hell, and they all kind of have their own storylines going on. This main trilogy is following Wrath and Amelia, who is a witch, and their journey, and then we're getting Envy's journey next, and it kind of makes me hope that she's just gonna keep going. Can't wait to be more in this world and to learn more about the princes and the different characters and the witches and the werewolves and the vampires. Is a very fantastical series, and these audiobooks are so good. I love the audiobooks so much. So I cannot wait until Throne of the Fallen comes out, because I will be reading it, and I will be a mess, and I will probably do a reading vlog because it's Carrie Maniscalco. The 5th question is biggest disappointment, and I think that book is going to be Paper Princess by Erin Watt. I listened to this book via Audible, heard nothing but like good stuff about these books. They're supposed to be like this romance, and you know, from the picture and from the title you would think it's a like royal palace romance. It's not. It's basically a book about a minor who does sex work for a living, and that's not the part I'm disgusted by. I'm disgusted by her like guardian who goes to her place of work so she can like dance on him, and I'm like, and he knows she's it's a time. It's just full of petty drama and all these older men when she is still a minor going at her, and I'm like, going at her, that can be taken in the wrong context. There was a lot of red flags, and I was mostly disappointed because I rebought the second one and I was no way wanting to continue on with it, and Audible wouldn't let me return it. I finally just contacted Audible and I was like, listen, I've never read this book. I never will. I hated the first one. Is there any way I could return the title? And they're like, sure. So I actually just returned the second one, thankfully. The next question is your biggest surprise of the year. Honestly, it would probably be Jeanette McCurdy, so I'm glad my mom died, but I'm going to give a different answer. I'm going to say this wrong. River of Shadows by Katrina Halley or Haley. This is book 1 in the Underworld Gods series. I think this is an indie published author too. I found her audiobook on Scribd years ago and saved it to my library, and one night just decided to start listening to it. I had no expectations. I knew nothing about it. And I actually had a lot of fun with it, and I continued on and read the second one, and I was like, gonna continue on and read the third one, but it's not out yet. And so now I have to wait for that third book to come out, and so I'm excited for that one. I gave them both 4 stars. This is like, I love the Persephone and Hades trope so much, but I feel like a lot of the Persephone Hades tropes are just like overdone now. This book took that like trope, but it's the Finnish gods of like death and this girl who basically makes a bargain with death to let her father go free, kind of like Beauty and the Beast vibes a little bit. Definitely adult. Like, there are adult themes in here, and there are some red flags definitely from the main guy who is death, but he's death, so I don't know what you expect. He's gonna be pretty cruel. But yeah, definitely go in with this if you want to read this with trigger warnings. Like, look up your trigger warnings and know that it is adult, so, like, there are some steamy scenes in it and stuff like that. But I was, like, surprised by this. By a random book I just found on Scribd, like, a random audiobook, knew nothing about it. Favorite new debut or new author to you? Man, Jeanette McCurdy can take a lot of these. I just adore her writing. Jeanette McCurdy, there's no one else who comes close to, you know, the new to me author this year. I have enjoyed as much as Jeanette McCurdy's writing. I already talked about it a little bit, so I'm not going to talk about it more. Newest fictional crush. Oh boy. Okay. I don't technically have a new fictional crush, like, no one who's gonna, like, enter my top 10 of all time fictional crushes. My newest fictional crush would probably be from Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This book is blowing up everywhere. Everybody's loving the guy in this book. I gave this book 4.5 stars, so I did enjoy it. I don't think I'm obsessed with it as much as everyone else, and the more I think about it, the more I'm probably just gonna say it's a 4. I definitely will be continuing on with it. This was a lot of fun to read. Like, it gave me those old school YA dystopian feels when I read it. The writing definitely isn't the best. Everybody's like talking about how great it is, and I'm like, you need to know that the writing in here is not like top tier writing, but it is very entertaining writing. There are some moments that give YA feels without this being a young adult book, because there's definitely steamy moments in this book. But this main guy was actually a lot of fun, and I liked the main girl in it too. I'm just going to explain what Fourth Wing is. Fourth Wing is blowing up right now. It's really big. It's a kind of like Divergent, like Dragon Rider fantasy, high fantasy, romantasy, but definitely not an all-time top fictional crush. Like, he just beats everyone else out so far of the books I've read. Newest favorite fictional character. I just haven't read that many characters this year that I've like loved. I don't have a good answer for you for this one, unless you want to just take my Fourth Wing answer and add it on to this one, because I did like a lot of the characters in Fourth Wing. I just wasn't like personally connected to them like I am with a lot of my fictional favorite fictional characters. My god. Book that made you cry. Crap. Did any of these make me cry? I don't think any of these made me cry. I think I got pretty close in The Ballad of Never After to crying. I haven't actually cried at a book. Oh, I have proof that I cried, actually, during Chain of Thorns. I sobbed like a little baby during this book, and I completely forgot until now, and I was like, I haven't cried at all this year. This book made me cry. Book that made you happy. This is a cute question, and I'm actually going to choose a reread for it, because I've already talked about a lot of my newer reads, but like, if a book's going to make me happy, usually it's going to be a reread. So I read the Ruby Red trilogy when I first got into reading when I was really young, and I loved it, and I've been wanting to reread it for a long time. So I reread the 3 books, and I think it literally took me like 3 days to read them, because they're all really short and like fast to read. And it's the same audiobook narrator that narrates Kingdom of the Wicked too. There's definitely issues with these books. It was still a happy, fun time for me, especially going back to these characters, which I loved a lot when I first read them, and it was just a happy time. Like, I was just reading it to read it and have a fun time, and there was like no critical thinking going on. It was just having fun reading the trilogy again. Question 12 is the most beautiful book I have bought or received this year. I am subbed to Fairy Loot, which I love Fairy Loot. They give you a lot of really pretty books. So I feel like we should just go through without me picking one, and I just show you a couple of them that I really like. This beauty of a book. Divine Rivals is so pretty. 2 books I bought from Fairy Loot a long time ago finally arrived. They are like some of my new favorite editions on my shelf. I also finally received my Fairy Loot edition of Kingdom of the Feared by Carrie Maniscalco, which finally completes my collection of the Fairy Loot editions of this series. What books do you need to read by the end of this year? There's a lot, so let's go through them. I want to read like 30 more of my physical TBR. I really want to, and I need to read 75 books by the end of the year. So if I read 30 more of my physical TBR, that'll get me really close. But let's go to my Kindle shelf, because there's a couple on there as well. I have received some arcs that I still need to read and review. So those arcs include The Scarlet Veil by Shelley Mahurin, Checkmate by Ali Hazelwood, The Phoenix King. It doesn't say the author. My arc cover doesn't say the author, so I'll put the author here. Those are arcs that I still need to read. I have a couple physical TBRs that have been on my TBR for a while that I've been wanting to get to, including Babel by R.F. Kuang, Ninth House and Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I think that's it. Yeah. I mean, I have hundreds of books. I also want to do a Kindle and audiobook TBR video, but I don't know if people are interested in that. I know a lot of people liked my physical TBR video, but yes, this is my mid-year tag. We'll see at the end of this year. We'll see how far I get. I'm hoping to at least get to 75 books, but right now it's not looking, I mean, I'm at 30. I can get there. I'm just 2 books behind. Thank you for watching, and I hopefully will see you next time. I'm trying to upload 4 videos a month now. From mid-year on. We're gonna see how it works. I'm so excited for autumn to come. I have so many plans for autumn and the autumn season, and books to read and Halloween content to do, because Halloween and autumn and spooky times are my favorite. So thank you so much for watching. I never self-promo myself, but I might as well. If you like it and you want to see if I complete the rest of this year's plans, why don't you subscribe? Or not. Thank you for watching. Bye.